Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rishi, Medhatithi Kanva, Devata, Ribhus, Chandas, Gayatri. Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 1.
Ayam deva yajanmane stomo vipreभिरासया akariratra
This libation, the bearer of gem, was made for divine birth by wise seers by oral recollection. Physical birth and divine birth. Every libation mentioned in the Rigveda can be called the bearer of the gem of truth. Stating that this one is particularly so can at best be credited to a sudden flash of inspiration experienced by the composer. Physical birth is the abrupt awareness of a new environment after being nurtured in the enclosed, snug, and secure atmosphere of the womb. The same can be said of death as well. A parallel is drawn between this change of awareness at physical birth and the birth of awareness of the Supreme in the consciousness of a mortal, and is termed divine birth. Just as immediately after a physical birth, there is this cognizance of a world of immensely greater proportions that fills the newborn with both wonderment and alarm, the abrupt cognizance of a hitherto unknown that is of infinite proportions and potential can be an equally incredible and startling moment for our consciousness. Past this moment, the universe is cognized in a completely different light, and hence the word enlightenment to describe this state of being. Monastic orders have this practice of choosing a successor to the incumbent pontiff in a child with certain telltale behavioral patterns, searched for by a network of monks across the lands, and upon citing one, the incumbent pontiff verifies those patterns personally. Upon a successful verification, the child is declared as the heir to the pontificate and trained in the ways of the monastic order. Perhaps the advent of universal consciousness in a mortal does indeed alter the individual behavioral patterns discernibly in many ways. One thing that it must certainly and logically do is to increase the state of equanimity and induce the trait of being unperturbed in all situations. Listening to and orally recollecting Vedic hymns, understanding and experiencing every word that is heard or rendered, nudges us slowly towards this sought-after purpose of life.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 2.
those who, by mind, fashioned for Indra his pair of steeds, yoked by speech, happen to sacrifice by their potentialities. On the trail of the theory of everything. In simple, impersonal words, the translation of this verse would be that those who understand the manner in which the universe works are able to act according to their optimal capabilities. The veracity of this statement can be seen in the design and functioning of every living body. Many genes in our DNA perform multiple tasks, spanning faculties and functions of organs. The body system as a whole is designed for performance, expending minimum energy, and also has the capacity to store a buffer stock of energy for potential emergencies. Gene expression is versatile enough to adapt to changes in the environment up to reasonable limits. It is the gods, the laws of nature, that govern the way they work, that makes all this happen, and they, being inherently aware of their potentialities and by definition not subject to the restraints of ego, do a perfect job. It may either be surmised that all this happens at random and controlled by probabilities, or it is preordained and happens for and with a definite purpose. We have this dilemma confronting us at every turn along life's path, the if or else junction of logic, forcibly making us to pause and ponder, to seek or devise a doctrine, a kind of theory of everything that accommodates both streams of thought and explain how both could be derived from this, that shows one or the other merely to be a subset of the other or the one. Perhaps we need to wait for the birth of the divine in our consciousness, either at random or by ordainment, to be able to figure out things by a straight line logic with no ifs or elses or any other caveat. In hindsight, the previous verse must truly be a gem.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 3.
तच्छन्ना सत्याभ्याम् परिज्ञानम् सुखम् रसम् तक्षम् धेनुम् सबद्धुघाम्.
Chariot of happiness, fashioned for omnipresent Ashwin twins, fashioned milch cow yielding milk. Valediction of truth. Intermittently, the Rigvedic hymns affirm that human-like traits and other paraphernalia alluded to the immortal natural forces are merely poetic flourishes of the seers who composed them to explain their characteristics in human terms for easy understanding. This verse is one such affirmation. If there were seers among other life forms, it would not be too stretched an imagination to visualize other knowledge compilations by different life forms validating gods after their respective forms and describing their expressions according to their own behavioral patterns. Instances of allusions to this manner of thought are found in Puranic narratives. Such visualizations and their dissemination is essentially to underscore the truth that the spirit that resides in every material form is similar to any other, and that all spirits reach out to their soul progenitor, the Supreme Spirit or Universal Consciousness. Logically, a bird's brain may be hardwired to cater to the needs of its life pattern, but its spirit may have the potential for realizations beyond its limited physical functions. Coming back to the specifics of this verse, that the Ashwin twins ride the chariot of happiness every day with their father, the sun, freely disbursing light to all in their purview, alludes to the notion that true happiness is derived from devotedly doing what one is tasked with by life's circumstances. That not doing so imparts misery is the unsaid inference. Consuming milk in some form or the other is a global phenomenon, and it is consumed widely because it does good, translatable as advancing truth. Hence, the consequence of the seer's poetic flourish in this instance is to affirm that anything that advances truth is milk. Material milk advances physical health, while its figurative counterpart does the same for mental health, which together promotes universal consciousness.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 4.
युवाना पितरा पुनः सत्यमन्त्रादिजोजवाः विभवो विष्ट्यक्रता.
Ribhus, having true thoughts, honest, made two progenitors young again, alternatively. Ribhus and the ionosphere. Legend has it that the Ribhus, three in number, named Ribhu, Vibhavan and Vaja respectively, were the sons of Sudhanvan, and by their true thoughts attained the mid-region, or the region corresponding to the atmospheric cover stretching up to 800 kilometers above the surface of the earth, forming the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space, and it is called the ionosphere. The literal meaning of the names cited are Ribhu, sagacious, Vibhavan, self-controlled, Vaja, speedy, Sudhanban, deserted sky. The legend and the word meaning together bring immediately to mind the representative scenario of the glowing uppermost layer of the atmosphere of the earth, the ionosphere. It is a relatively deserted region that begins at about 80 kilometers and stretches up to 800 kilometers, beyond which is considered the beginning of outer space, the atoms and molecules here being ionized by solar radiation. The density of matter being very low, the mentioned ionic particles move at great velocities under the influence of Earth's magnetic field, conforming to the meaning of their names. Speedy, they are self-controlled and sagacious, quickly regaining stability after their ionization by recombining with free electrons when the influence of solar radiation wanes during night. As they exhibit their inherent qualities for earthbound humans to experience in the form of a glow due to the release of photons during both ionization and recombination in the ionosphere, they are termed as sons of the deserted sky, the most rarefied region of the atmosphere. As they are reborn every day, they as well as their progenitors, who are themselves only with electrons derived from other atoms or molecules but fit to continue the process the next day, are deemed to become young again alternatively. They have true thoughts and are honest, as they never deviate from their prescribed regimen, as is the case with any divinity.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 5.
सम्भो मदासो अग्मतेन्द्रेण च मरुत्वता आदित्येभिश्च राजभिः
Together, to all of you, intoxications have come, with Indra attended by Maruts and with kings, Adityas. To each era, its own expressions. Any entity, real, abstract, or notional, can be deemed to be intoxicated with truth if it performs a job that it is tasked with total focus and invariable results. This is the definition of a machine and the essence of science. If consciousness and being free from wear and tear is included to the character of such a machine, we have a natural law personified as an immortal or a god. The equation E equals mc squared, equating energy to mass times the square of the speed of light, is representative of such an immortal machine intoxicated with truth. So are all other equations representing natural laws. Indra, working with the Maruts and the Adityas, administer the seasonal phenomena on earth, ensuring a stable environment with inevitable deviations restricted to manageable limits, which makes inhabitants of earth lead a sustainable life. As residents of the mid-region and heaven, they are kings of all they survey below them and are ever just in their dealings with mortals. The mortals too have the responsibility of living their lives according to the laws of nature or their reflections upon the processes of the mind, dharma, as applicable to their domain of activity. Any aberration or inconsistency in this process can only be attributed to a slip-up on the part of mortals to live up to this mutual deal. Perhaps it was only to diminish the possibility of such anomalies that an equation like E equals mc squared may have been formulated in terms of bulls, horses, cows, milk, honey, the sap of soma, and the likes in the Vedic era to make people feel involved, familiar, comfortable, and connected with the prescribed tenets.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 6.
उदत्यं च मसन्नभं तुष्टुर्देवस्य निष्कृतम् अकर्त चतुरः पुनः.
Besides, made that newly prepared vessel for divine Tvashta 4 times again. Mass extinctions and divine revivals. According to legend, the Ribhus, deserted sky dwellers, are said to have remade Tvashta's vessel 4 times after Tvashta made the first one by himself. Tvashta is said to be the creator of forms and wombs. The 2 keywords in this legend, creator of forms and wombs, and 5 vessels, 1 by Tvashta and 4 more by the Ribhus as replacements, results in the memory recall of happenings described by contemporary thought on the history of evolution of life on earth, and it is about the 5 mass extinctions of life forms. The roles of the ionosphere dwellers in a terrestrial phenomenon is explained by a recent research that atmospheric temperatures were the key factor in activating the process of mass extinctions. The vessel of Tvashta could have been symbolic of the imagined cauldron, where the wombs of different life forms were cooked into existence. At each mass extinction, the symbolic vessel was damaged beyond repair and a new one had to be made, which was accomplished by the same entities, the Ribhus, who activated the extinction in the first place. In contemporary parlance, this may be explained as extreme temperature changes causing a cataclysmic event, followed by a new standard of equilibrium for the atmosphere being established, in turn initiating evolution of new species of life forms adapted to the changed conditions. A little pressure upon our imaginative faculty would indicate that the vessel or cauldron of Tvashta is the earth and the cooking transaction is the process of evolution itself.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 7.
तेनो रत्नानि धत्तनत्रिरासाप्तानि संवते एकमेकं सुषष्टिभिः.
For us, for the one who presses out, do uphold 3 times of 7 those gems, each by turn with proper recitations. Three times 7 ingredients of earth's prosperity. Ecstatic and blissful it is indeed to understand the mechanism and the dynamics involved with any system that is perfect in every way. Our Earth, as a member of the solar system, the contributions of its other elements on Earth's movement around the Sun that manifest in different ways upon the subordinate systems, including us, within the Earth and its atmosphere, is one such fascinating object of interest, whose characteristics, dynamics, and expressions the Vedas attempt to unravel. Categorization is an essential aspect of any study, analysis, and comprehension. Vedic reasoning that firmly rests on the notion of the fractal nature of the structure of creation approaches the study considering that there are 3 distinct regions of activity: the earth, bounded by its surface; the mid-region, extending up to a certain distance from the surface, constituting the enveloping atmosphere; and heaven, the space beyond this atmospheric cover. It further postulates 7 effects or truths that mold and fashion activities in each of these regions, which are referred to as the 3 times 7 ecstasies. In heaven, the earth's movement is controlled primarily by the gravitational forces of the 7 celestial objects: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The 7 frequencies of sunlight helps in discernment of objects and activities wherever they may be situated in the atmosphere up to the Earth's surface. On Earth, there are 7 forces that propel activities in all earthbound animate and inanimate objects. These truths, as they are called, are said to flow like water streams across their respective regions. Seers who visualize these truth streams sing its acknowledgement
to propagate the notion. Mandalam 1, Suktam 20, Rik 8.
अधारयन्तमह्नयो भजन्त सुकृत्यया भागम् देवेषु यज्ञियम्.
The carriers caused to be upheld, sacrificial share was distributed by their good work among divinities. Asseverations and deductions. Asseveration of universal truths and the revelation that not only is the physical world both conceptually and expressively similar across systems in the universe, but so also are our thought processes, is what seers strive to convey through Vedic compositions. They further assert that there is divinity in everything, their differentiation into two possible extremes only being an aid to understand the entire range of possible manifestations of concepts. This divinity is in us too, right from the time we pop into existence in the sense of an individual with an apparent identity. The phrases advent of divinity in consciousness and divine birth within us are merely indicative of the moment the allegedly independent individual identity becomes aware of the fact that it is indeed and entirely dependent on everything around, leading to the dissolution of this identity, at least at the level of being conscious. Simultaneously, it also brings into focus that, with the repudiation of identity, the inferred cognition of a single composite entity encompassing the infinite universe is also established. In this state of being, hearing of truth and wisdom, Shruti, and remote viewing, Divya Drishti, become inherent propensities. This is the deduction that one could conceive from the seer's asseverations, both the deduction and the emphatic assertion being sacrifices or activities on the part of those expressing them respectively. Distributing the sacrificial share to the divinities is mentioning the contribution of every principle or divinity in the formulation of the composite. Together are we the composite, with every one having an equal and absolute stake.